Joining us in the studio, the CEO of Creative Cubes. His name is Tobi Skovron. How are you, my boy?
I'm great, George. Thanks for having
Busy
me.
time for you. You're doing so much work behind the scenes.
Yep.
COVID has stopped a lot of business, especially in Melbourne, but things are starting to open up. And as they open up, you guys at Creative Cubes start pushing the envelope. You've got new venues opening up or planning to be opened within the next 6 months to a year?
Correct. Yeah, 6 to 12 months. We've got a couple of venues. There's a few others in discussions, and then we have a pipe that has us having with buildings all the way up to 23.
So the ones I know of is Hawthorn,
Yep.
Richmond, and the one I've seen at South Melbourne, which is extraordinary. And what people don't readily understand unless they go in there, you actually have managed to create a whole new way of going to work.
Yep.
Or going to a meeting.
Yep.
Or creating an engagement.
Correct.
Something that is quite remarkable we've seen so much disruption this year. Where did the idea of Creative Cubes come from?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a very long backstory.
Go.
All the way from the name to why it exists. Entrepreneur.
Yep.
Felt like I was an outcast,
Yeah.
both in my school and circle of friends. Just always thinking differently, doing things differently. And my mum was in my ear all day, every day, cheering me on, just saying, you got this, you know. So it was only when I moved to Melbourne from Sydney in 2003 that my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife and mother of our two kids, Simone, said, Tobes, we just need a patch of backyard on our balcony for our dog to go to the toilet at the most inconvenience of times. And that's when that entrepreneurial instinct just took over. I'm not trained, educated. You know, entrepreneurship was not something you studied back in the 90s. It was just something innate inside, and it almost, I guess, woke the beast inside.
What also worked the beast was the fact that you'd spent a lot of time overseas.
Yeah, so as part of that journey, so I ended up developing a product called Pet Loo. And that was a 10-year journey where I basically created this dog potty patch system with replacement products and a whole ecosystem for the pet.
Yeah.
And it ended up taking me globally. It was selling in about 170 odd countries around the world. And in 2008, 2009, I moved to the US to expand our North American ventures. It sounds really sexy and cool. The reality is it was really lonely, really isolating. There were so many trials and tribulations, and I didn't have a support network around me. And it was only when I moved to Los Angeles that I decided, out of the need for my wife and I to sort of compartmentalize life and work, that I moved into this co-working space in Santa Monica, which was the old Google headquarters. Google moved out of Santa Monica to Venice, and this guy came in and took over the whole building. Google left a lot of equipment and all the really cool stuff. And it's like next step of being an entrepreneur. It was like, oh my God, there's amazing people around me that are feeling and acting and doing how I feel, act and do. And so energizing that time and space. It was exhilarating, to say the least. I felt like I'd found my people.
Yeah. And that's what I felt when I walked into Creative Cubes in South Melbourne. Right. You've created we should explain, it's a network of office space in different forms. Bigger offices, smaller offices, slightly different shapes of offices. But you've added another couple of layers here. You've added layers of what we call personality.
Totally.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so as part of that entrepreneurial journey, I became alive. And so I successfully exited Pet Loo in 2013. And my wife said to me, what are you going to do now? I'm like, I want to do for the people what was not there for me. And Creative Cubes is an articulation of that. And to complement what you're saying, all types of different cubes, sizes of offices, all kind of bound together under one roof, multiple floors or singular floors, with all types of different personalities, almost like a bag of jelly beans.
And they're serviced.
Correct. So we are flexible office at core, very bland meat and potatoes. I need a 2-person private office for a day, all the way up to I need it for 2 years. Or actually, I'm going to take it for 2 years, but in that 2-year journey, I end up going from 2 people to 50 people. And so we can move walls and and knock stuff out, or alternatively give you
bespoke on the spot.
Correct. On demand.
Tell me, if they want to grab it for 3 or 4 hours in the morning. Is that available too?
Yeah, totally.
So a special event?
Well, yes and no. I mean,
yes and no.
Yeah. So
because
yes.
you have the security component.
No. The short answer is yes.
Okay.
But there's different to kind of dive a little deeper on what you were saying before. There's different modules. So there's private offices, there's meeting rooms, there's event spaces. It's all tailored to your needs. We find people that want to hold an event for 30 or 40 people can use our event space, but if they want 20 people, they can use a large boardroom. And sometimes I just need an office for the day for 10 people because we're doing something.
Bluetooth, wired, AV, it opened my eyes to, because we're seeing so many changes. COVID has created an enormous disruption. Many people are telling us that you have to work from home. Okay. Some of the offices in the city, in the central business district, they're going to be lost for ages. But here you've got a terrific, on the fringe of the cities, you've got fantastic options available to create what you need. Yeah?
Yeah, the best or nothing is the mantra. So I want to give
the best
or nothing.
Or nothing.
So I want to give you the best. Yeah, and whether you need a single desk for a day, all the way up to, we have members with us that have been with us for 3 or 4 years. Their teams have grown and shrunk. I want to give you the best experience. Consumer experience or member experience is like right up there, and community is our North Star. Okay. So I want to build a great collaborative community, because what happens is, as I'm passing the cafe or as I'm grabbing a coffee, you and I see each other 3 or 4 times. I finally have the courage to come up to you and say, George, or I don't know, my name's Toby, how are you? I'm George, nice to meet you. And we start talking, I learn more about what you do, you're in this game or that game, or you're specialized in whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden I become a client. So now not only am I hanging out with like-minded people, I'm actually doing business with people. And so my job is to make sure, or my team and I, our job is to make sure that the curation of community, the collection of the people in the space are all on the same path, because one bad apple ruins a cart. And we've had people show up going, I want this, I want that, and really at the end of the day, it's about the people. We're a people first company and community. I
sensed that as I walked in the door. You led us and gave us a sense of what was happening, and gave also this walk around. There's a fantastic, almost a yellow brick road, but it's not quite yellow, it's white and what other colours. But that's purpose built too.
Totally.
Because it gives you a chance to share.
Exactly.
And mix and
community, collaboration, like-mindedness, and really
collegiate, huh?
Yeah, totally. But I want to make people better. If people come in for a day, I want them leaving refreshed and better than they were when they came in. If they stay with us for 3 years, I hope that somehow along the way we've elevated them, their company, their organization, their mindset, everything that they rely on a daily basis.
Tobi Skovron, who's the CEO of Creative Cubes, giving you a sense, an idea of what's happening. Hawthorne, Richmond and South Melbourne, the venues where they are right now. Make sure you seek them out. They are quite extraordinary and so very different. And what's to come next? Carlton?
Carlton under construction, Collingwood under construction, East Melbourne, and we're working on several deals interstate in Sydney and beyond as well.
Tobi Skovron, thank you very much for joining us. Look forward to hearing more about Creative Cubes.
Thank you so much.